Okay, so getting ready to fit the unit. So I'm taking out the old sort of advance and retard ring. This is the ring that operates on the cable operates on it and turns it to it's got a cam on it, and this ring is what changes the advance and retard. So that slides off, and then you've got the actual contact breaker unit, and that is just held on by this central bolt here. Right, obviously I've taken it off, so just undo that central bolt, remove that, and the whole contact breaker unit is in one sort of piece, which is fabulous. Nice little compact thing, and there we go. And so that's all removed now, and so ready to start fitting the new electronic ignition sort of pickups into the housing. Okay, so I'm just going to loosely fit it for now. This is the new unit that's going to fit inside, and it's got a slot here at the bottom and a slot at the side. So that's to do with the advance and retard. So there's a peg here at the bottom, and the cable, you probably just can't see it. There's that dark patch there. That's where the cable goes. So the cable will fit into this slot where it will fit into this slot where my thumb is, and that will turn the unit for advance and retard. And the big slot at the bottom will go over where the peg is, and because it's a big slot, it only allows certain movement. You can't over rotate it. So this big slot is going to line up with the with that peg at the bottom. Yeah, I think that's in. So if I then operate the advance and so that's the cable. I'm just using the advance and retard lever to just checking that that's all going to work. Right, and then so I was just like a trial fitting. I'm going to go back, read the instructions again, find out exactly how I'm setting this up. Okay, so the next job is to check that the ignition timing is accurate. On this bike, you have to set. There's no degrees or anything. It's very old, so you have to set. What I do is you put a rod down inside number 1 cylinder, and you've got 2 marks on it. You get it to absolute top dead center on compression stroke. So I've removed the valve covers so that I can observe the valves, and so I can make sure. So I've done that before, set it on the wrong stroke. So you can watch the valves gotten down, so you know you're on compression stroke. The only thing to note is that sort of the rear valve is the inlet valve, and that's the exhaust. Because it's a V twin, it's like the other way around. I'm used to the sort of left-hand valve being for inlet, so it's a little thing for me not to get confused. So I've waited for the inlet valve to open and close, so I know it's on compression. Then I've taken it up and to the top, and there I've got my mark. The bottom of the bottom mark, if you see what I mean, is lined up with a fin, and I know that's absolute top dead center. So what I need to do now is set it up 1/4 of an inch before top dead center. There's no degrees, so there's another mark on this rod 1/4 of an inch higher than the previous one. So I'll put it in gear. I'm going to turn the engine over now backwards, so that will then bring the engine, and then when the bottom of the top mark lines up, I know it's gone back a quarter of an inch, and that is the 1/4 of an inch before top dead center, which will be where the full advance should be, maximum advance should be for the ignition timing. So I'm just going to put it in gear. I'll turn the back wheel backwards till the rod drops that 1/4 of an inch. Make sure that mark's lined up with the fin, and we should be in the right position. Okay, so I've used the back wheel to turn the engine over backwards, so that top mark, the bottom of that top mark is now lined up with the fin. And I previously checked the ignition timing, and that's the mark I made before, which is exactly where, it's exactly where I thought it was. So I've made that Tipex mark. I always tried to line it up slightly with the hole, but I always knew I'd got it slightly wrong, and the mark is slightly to the right of that hole in the timing case. So that is the fully advanced on number one on the rear cylinder. Okay, now one advantage of this electronic ignition system is that I can actually set up the timing individually for both cylinders, because there is a little bit of movement in the system. Now normally with the magneto you set it up on that cylinder and that's it, it's set. So whether or not it's right, it should be right obviously for this automatically, but there is some play, some variation, and you can never set it up for the front cylinder. Whereas on this, I will do the timing, I'll set it up for the front cylinder, and then rear cylinder, I'll set it up for the front cylinder later. So both cylinders will be timed exactly. So that's a little advantage. There we go. I've just repeated the process for the front cylinder, and so I've made my new timing marks, which are now for the front cylinder. So that's my timing mark for the rear cylinder. That's for the front cylinder. Both of those showing a quarter of an inch before top dead center according to the rod, which is where fully advanced should be on the ignition. Sorted.